Hello, my name is Ray Lopez, and I'm your District 6 City Council representative. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Lopez Live. Today, I'm excited to have my guest, Debbie Sitter, who is the Assistant Director with the Transportation and Capital Improvements Department here in San Antonio, and Adriana Valadez, Director of Community Outreach and Fundraising with the San Antonio Police Officers Association. On today's show, we'll be discussing a proposed YMCA Recreation Center and a public library in District 6. And the Blue Santa program. And now I'd like to welcome to the show Debbie Sitter, who I've had an opportunity to work with for quite some time now on some very exciting projects, and even more projects now that the 2012 bond package was passed, and thank goodness to the voters were looked on it favorably. And now we're very close to getting on into the implementation stages of many of those projects. And one of them, as I mentioned in the intro, is the Library Rec Center in conjunction with the YMCA, and that great partnership that we're trying to pull together. Now, tell me a little bit about why we're doing a partnership and why the YMCA. How did that all unfold?
Well, Councilman, the voters, when they approved the bond money, they approved money for a rec center and for a library, but they only approved a certain amount that was supposed to be leveraged to other sources. So we're partnering with the YMCA to help get that project started.
So leveraging is the big piece of the puzzle here, right? Getting a little bit bigger bang for the buck. I know that's always been an intent, and most folks in government always say, we're going to get the biggest bang for the buck. But indeed, this is getting a much bigger bang for the buck. I think it was, what, it was $3 million and
1.4 million for the library.
So tell us a little bit about how much money that is and how much actually the Y is putting into the whole mix as we understand it today.
So the YMCA will become our partner, and they will actually operate the recreation center. So they're putting in all the operational dollars, and they're also putting in the building. Because
that's what they do, right? The YMCA, I know, has several projects like this and have done a pretty good job. And so our funding for the $3 million and 1.4 million for the library are going to go to supplement that. What would you say, generally speaking, the entire value of that project would be if one person did it all?
If we did it all, it would be about $15 million.
So that's a pretty good leverage. I mean, I think the impact of the community is going to be pretty important. And I know that in this case we have a partner. Do we ever do projects like this, of this magnitude, without partners?
Sometimes we would, but our new goal is to do partnerships in the community for recreation centers, because it really leverages and it helps enhance what we can provide to the community.
Right, and the funding for the YMCA in this case, for example, comes through revenue sources they would generate, as opposed to services or dollars that the city would provide, which are really tax dollars. That's right. That's the big impact, right?
And our recreation centers don't always offer as much of a variety as the YMCA might be able to offer when they have different programs that they.
Well, I know that in this case, there's kind of a unique situation. We're going to be having a YMCA. That's pretty typical recreation. Everybody kind of understands what that is. Bring kids in, play basketball, grown-ups, and the like. But this one's going to have a library in it. And has this been done anywhere else? What's been the experience that we've had, and what do you think will be so unique about this one?
So upon looking at research of whether this had been done anywhere else, the only one that we found was in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. It was built in 2011, and it's been so widely successful that they are already expanding by an additional 10,000 square feet. So we expect this project to be the first of its kind in the United States and to be wildly successful. We're just going to really blow this one out.
Well, I'm anxious to have that happen. The community's anxious to have that happen. But it won't be the first time that we kind of blew something out of the water. I remember when I first got into council, we were looking at doing a senior center. As a matter of fact, the facility that we're going into now with the YMCA was one of the first buildings that we looked at, and it was exceeded our wildest expectations. Ultimately, building a senior center that has 50-some-odd thousand square feet, and several thousand seniors going to it, and several hundred daily, serving meals all over the place. It was wildly successful. Do you have the same vision for the YMCA library combination?
Well, so the library, the YMCA, the total building is 55,000 square feet, and the YMCA should occupy about 49 or 50,000 of that. and then the rest of it will be for the library. So it's a small library branch.
About how many square feet would you say?
5,000 square feet for the library, but we're going to see some really unique things in this library. Obviously, we'll have collections and hard copy books, but we're going to have a lot of digital collections in that library, and there will be a lot of opportunity for partnering with the YMCA. So if you can envision that a person is coming in the morning to go work out, they could check out a book, or they could download something on their tablet, and then they could, get on the treadmill. So there'll be a good partnership for those kind of activities as well as for children.
Well, this location that we're talking about certainly has a lot of children in the area. I know we did a lot of joint studies with the YMCA to see what the demographics look like, and it looks like I think all of us recognize that there's a lot of growth in that area, but even more growth coming over the course of the next few years, and maybe over the course of the next decade, right there at 151 and Potranco. So what was the selection process like for this particular site?
So there was a study that was done in 2011 to determine where a good place would be for a recreation center and YMCA kind of facility. And this was the very bullseye of that study. It said, this is the place that has the most need, that is the most underserved.
So we weren't just guessing.
No, we weren't just guessing. And it so happens that we had a building there. The YMCA has purchased that building. It's an old Albertsons. And a lot of people have been looking for something great to happen in that building for a long time. So this is a long time coming. Yeah.
Now, there's some property right next to it. What's the size of that, and how does that play into this whole project?
So adjacent to the facility is a 12-acre parcel that we're looking at acquiring from Saws. Saws owns it at this point, and we would be putting in some ball fields for the YMCA. But we would also want to have a development partner to help us do that, because we don't have enough money to do that. So we're looking at a public-private partnership for that.
And what might that look like?
We might get a developer interested in putting some more apartments or some retail facilities there, maybe some community health facilities, dentist office services, and things like that.
And I guess the big, driver there would be, as long as it's compatible with a YMCA, rec centers, and that certainly makes a lot of sense. And who would retain the final decision on who could go there as a partner?
So through the public-private partnership process that was outlined by the state, and we adopted that as a city in November of 2013, the city makes the decision on the partner, and we can put any kind of restrictions on that as we like.
So we have full control over what's going there, and of course
exactly.
I'm sure that we wouldn't have it any other way. We would get a lot of community input. I know that we've been to some of the meetings, some well-attended, maybe some not so well-attended, but what are we doing from an outreach perspective to kind of find out, what amenities do we want, what do we want it to look like? What outreach has happened, and what's going to happen in the near future?
Well, so we've had 2 community meetings in the district to find out what people wanted to see, and we will continue to have more meetings once we get a schematic design from the architect to come in and actually look at the building, and people will say, okay, what would I like to have here? How will the building look? How will it fit with our community? So we will have more outreach meetings, and then the design should be completed in the spring, and that's when we're looking to break ground.
Yeah, so it's literally right around the corner. Yeah, well, we're all excited about it. I think there's been a couple of meetings that I've been able to go to, and it does carry a bit of, concern when some folks are saying, well, I really want a library to be a place where I can just go sit, pick up a book, read, meditate, and for it to be quiet. And then others will say, well, yeah, we need a rec center that's really alive and creating all that action and all those young people, and whether they're young at heart or actually young people running around. And so how are we going to try to balance that?
Well, so through our programming that we've done with the library and asking people what they'd like to see, we have a professional firm that's an architect who comes in and they say, look, we do want to serve all populations. We want to have quiet areas, which means it's really important that when we put this facility together that we have some soundproofing done between the places they're playing basketball and the places they're trying to read. But we also have some common areas where we're going to share with the YMCA some of the child watch areas. So there'll be some children's programming that be done jointly between the 2 partners. So there'll be some very exciting things, and a lot of, even some outdoor space. They're looking at maybe having a courtyard to the outside so people can go get outside and be in the fresh air. Another thing the library provides is really great Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, and it usually reaches beyond their building walls. And so we're hoping that the Wi-Fi will extend out into the soccer fields area, so when, you know, people are there watching their kids play soccer, they could, in between, check their emails or look things up, look at a place to go, take the kids to eat, or something like that.
Yeah, again, make it more of a community center oriented kind of a facility, and with the growth that's going on there, the easy access to highways, folks will get an opportunity to be able to enjoy that community. But I remember during one of the meetings, the YMCA folks got up and said something about, we really want to know what the library wants, and we want to cater to that environment, because that's kind of a unique thing for them, to actually have a library that they have to consider within their confines, right? How they're going to deal with, you know, the screaming and hollering of basketball players going back and forth, and squeaky sneakers and the like, when you have perhaps an individual that might be sitting there trying to, you know, read a book for enjoyment, and or maybe do some research or things of that nature. So is this architect really going to take all that into consideration and kind of craft that, and when will we see that?
Well, the YMCA has told us that they're building their whole facility around the library. So that's great news for the library, and it's also great news for the community. So we're anticipating that the architect would have some designs, something that you can see in February timeframe. We'll be going around, having some public meetings, having people come in and look at those designs and make comments.
So you said something about the spring. So real quickly, what are some of the phases that we'll be going through over the course of the next few months, and you know, that people can be expecting to see? So
we have to get our agreements all in place, and then early in January we should be looking at the design beginning. We'll have a charrette, which is where the architect comes in and he has drawings that are kind of conceptual
in nature.
And that'll be in the early January, February time frame. And then once we look at getting the input, then they'll be able to finalize the design over the course of the spring and hopefully break ground. I'm hoping in April is what I'd like to see.
Okay, an April groundbreaking. Okay, well, the public's going to hold you to that because you said it here. And when will the ribbon cutting be expected, would you think? What's the construction?
We're planning late spring, early summer of 2016. So it's about a year-long construction.
Yeah, so right on time. Well, thank you very much for sharing that information. I know the community's excited, and as well as I know that you're pretty excited about the project as well. And stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break to talk about the Blue Santa program.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Playing in the WNBA takes a lot of practice, so I attend every practice to work on my game. I'm Danielle Robinson. You too should attend school every day because that's what it takes to be a winner. Whether you're in school or in sports, you need to show up to win. That's why I support SA Kids Attend to Win. S-U-C-C-E-S-S, let's go students have success. And by the way, winners call me Danielle.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Hi, I'm Danny Green of the San Antonio Spurs, and I'm here with Chief McManus to talk to you about graffiti. It's not art when you're vandalizing someone else's property. It's just plain disrespectful.
Most importantly, it's a crime. Graffiti can get you big fines and even prison time. And it costs American taxpayers over $8 billion a year.
Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. Devote your time to keeping San Antonio clean and beautiful.
Team up with us to wipe out graffiti.
Team up!
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, City Councilman Ray Lopez. We're going to be talking with Adriana Valadez. Welcome, Adriana. I had earlier introduced you as talking about Blue Santa, SAPOA, and all those really, really cool things that are happening in the city. But then I realized a lot of people don't really know what that's all about. First of all, SAPOA, what does that stand for, and what's Blue Santa all about?
SAPOA is the San Antonio Police Officers Association, and Blue Santa is one of our programs that was created in 1976 when police officers were out making calls and they realized that there was a lot of needy families in the community.
Yeah, and who better to recognize that? They're out there every day. Recognizing what some of the need is, and they're in a great position to be able to do that. So whenever they created this outreach and all that kind of stuff, I guess you came into play. And so what are some of the things that you do throughout the year? I know Christmas is a big deal. Probably we just passed through the holiday season of Halloween and Thanksgiving, but with Christmas on the horizon, what are some of the things that you do specifically for that season?
For Christmas, we actually have a Blue Santa application online, and we have all the families apply for it. And what we do is, once they meet our criteria, we go ahead and have volunteers that come in, and a lot of them are police officers, their wives. We have children who need NHS hours, or even just people from the community. And we do wrap all of their presents, and on December 21st this year, we have a big party for them, and we do breakfast with Santa. Yeah, I know. I've had the pleasure of being involved with that, and you know, it's incredible because the community, especially our seniors, I've got a really active senior group at our senior center, and any event virtually during the entire holiday season, we'll bring a gift. And they bring a lot of gifts, and we get an opportunity to have Blue Santa come by, pick them up, and then do the distribution. It helps us because we don't have to kind of manage handling the gifts, and then you have identified who the recipients are, and I think that's really what's so important about this. So thank you for what you do. So now you talked a little bit how long you've been doing that. Now you obviously do other stuff throughout the year. What are some of the other things that you do? We actually have a program called Project CJ, and what it stands for is Caring for Juniors. And we did not realize here, at least I did not realize that in the city of San Antonio, that we would have children who would go home on a weekend without having a meal. Yeah. And we realized that there's some Title I elementary schools, and what that means is that 40% of the student body is either on free or reduced lunch. Right. So we partnered with the food bank, and we create snack packs for them so they can take home on the weekends. And it's also included for siblings that are at home that are too young to attend school. And we get these donations from the food bank, from anonymous just volunteers, and I have volunteers that come into our office, and we make these snack packs on Wednesdays. We deliver them on Thursdays, and the children take them home on Fridays. Yeah, that's great. So it's more than just, hey, let's go do something good for a bunch of kids. It's actually targeted, and you use the Title I qualifications to target those kids. So tell me, how many families and children will we reach? Well, we actually make 130 food packs in a week, and we have 2 elementary schools we're working with right now, and we're actually working on adding a 3rd one. And it is my goal, hopefully, as a director, that I would be able to add a school a year. Great, great. Now, you're the director, and how long have you been doing that, and what are some of the kind of day-to-day chores? I mean, you get up in the morning, you go to work. What's a day like for you? A day like for me. Probably a lot of fun, but I'm sure a lot of work too. A lot of times, you know, coming straight to the office, setting up appointments, looking for volunteers, looking for new sponsorships all the time, coming into the office, answering emails, meeting with different businesses, trying to get their support with the community as far as for Project CJ, Blue Santa. We also have a scholarship program that we have that was in the honor of Patricia Calderon, who died in 1988, and it's just a very busy schedule. On top of, you know, I've been doing this for the past 3 years, and I became director in April. Okay, so you've been doing that for quite some time. So if somebody wanted to participate, call you, website, how did that, if somebody out in the public or some of our viewers? They could reach me at adriana@sapoa.org. and email me if they're interested in volunteering, in donating, and actually coming over and seeing our facility. We also have a program where we get donated bicycles, and we have police officers who actually take the time off and come and reassemble these bicycles, and we go ahead and donate them to some of the orphanages or some of the schools.
Well, that's great. I mean, you know, again, you know, I think everybody needs to kind of recognize that the outreach that you're doing, while it makes you feel good, you also, it's work. It's making sure that you're identifying who the target client is, and that you're actually getting it in the hands of those kids that are in the most need. And I really appreciate what you're doing for those kids, because I think that's the hardest part of whenever you're out doing public service. When identify the kids and then giving them the things that they actually need. To give them something that they really didn't need is probably not as satisfying, and obviously you guys have been doing a lot of that. Now, I know that there are other programs, and probably Project CJ is probably the one that you may be most proud of, or maybe Blue Santa. But what are some of the others, and which one would you say is your favorite?
My favorite, I would have to say, would be One Day at Christa Santa Rosa. We provide toys, clothing, and food for the children in the pediatric oncology unit. So what we do is we bring Santa, and they provide us a small private room, and we see each individual child and their family. And it is very heartbreaking, especially during the holidays, when you know that a lot of these families are from out of town and they don't even have money for gas, for a hotel, for food. Yeah. And so I think for me, that's the one that touches me, is the dearest and nearest to my heart.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can certainly imagine that. And while you're out there doing a lot of good, it also does you personally a good, warm heart kind of thing when you get an opportunity, you know, to see a face or a person smiling when maybe things aren't so good.
Right.
And certainly those are some of them.
Right.
Now, I would love to think that money just falls from the sky and you have more money than you could ever need. But obviously funding is always a struggle.
It is.
Getting volunteers, always a struggle. So what are some of the funding sources, and how do you go about pulling all that together?
We actually, you know, believe it or not, we have a lot of the police officers that donate money. A lot of them will donate toys. Most of all will be their time, and that would be time away from their families to come and sort the snack packs. We also reach out to any businesses out in the San Antonio community who would like to get involved with Blue Santa. But as a matter of fact, this year we are revamping and we are turning into Blue Cares. And Blue stands for the uniform, and CARE stands for what we would like to do with the San Antonio community. And really, we would like to help a lot more people and reach a bigger goal. And
how do you think some of the differences between how you used to do it, because I know you've gone through some changes, and how you plan to do it, and you know, what are some of the differences there that on a day-to-day basis that you may have to say, ooh, this is going to be a challenge? And more importantly, is there anything that we can help you to make that a smoother transition?
Absolutely. We're always interested in donations, whether they be monetary, toys, food, volunteers. We're always looking for a new sponsor. We have right now at this moment, Harris Daily Wells is one of our sponsors. We have Valero. We have Generations. We'd like to really reach out, and I'd like to be able to make contact with some more businesses and be able to show them what we are all about and how we really are trying to make a difference in the San Antonio community.
And what are some of the qualifications that a volunteer might have to come up with? I mean, is there a set of regulations, or so you?
We actually just have them do a background check, just because there's
pretty basic stuff.
Yeah, they may be around children. We just need to make sure that everyone's okay with that, and that would probably be it.
Well, that's good. And you've been advertising these new changes and reaching out.
Well, I'm glad that you're asking me that, because we are actually going to do a Blue Cares. We are going to showcase Blue Cares at the Paseo del Rio River Parade. So we actually have a float this year, and we are all out there, and we're going to be. It'll be in the catalog, and we actually did a commercial. We are actually in social media, believe it or not. We were in Facebook, but now we're also going to have a Twitter, and we have an Instagram.
Well, there you go. I mean, if you got a Twitter, you got to be be cool, right?
You're right.
Well, that's great. I mean, so this is the first time that you're going to be in the parade,
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And what is going to be? I mean, what'll be on the float?
Well, we'll have a band, and we'll have police officers and some of our volunteers.
Is it a police officer band?
Yes, it is. It is the Just Cause Band. Yes.
Just Cause. Well, I think over the years there's been different bands that have come out of the police department, and I'm sure they're all very, very good. So I guess they're just volunteering their time, and they rock out and jam on a float.
Exactly.
Will Blue Santa be on that float?
No, actually, we asked that, but there's only room for one Santa, and that's at the end of the parade.
Well, there you go. That's true. Okay, we won't argue with that one. Well, that's great. Listen, are there any other things that the community should know about? Because quite honestly, I think during the holidays, I mean, a lot of people recognize that there's a lot of people out there helping, right? There's a lot of people engaged, and it's at the forefront of everybody's thought process. But the holidays at some point are over. We get into January, February. We get into other times of the year when maybe giving and helping and donating is not exactly on everybody's top priority. What are some of the things you try to get done or messages you try to get out during those times where it's not so easy perhaps to do the food drives or the toy drives or things of that nature? I mean, what are some of the things that you're challenged with that we want to communicate to the public?
Really, it's monetary donations for us. It's the support of new up-and-coming businesses that we would like to introduce and show them our Blue Cares. We also need, as far as trying to put ourselves out there. And like I said, we're out on social media now, so we're really trying to reach out to new contacts.
So money would be a good one, and that's always sometimes the easiest. Oftentimes people say, I want to help, but I don't have time. Well, you can always write that check. I'm assuming that's a tax deductible
Yes, it's
contribution.
tax deductible. We are a 501c3.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for the kind of work that you do. And again, sometimes it's easy to, during the holidays to be able to say, hey, let's all get behind a particular program. But we do have a tendency sometimes, once the fanfare of helping and supporting wears off, we have a tendency of maybe not being as focused. But thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for your commitment to the kids here in San Antonio. And I know that the Police Officers Association, I see them everywhere. I see them doing the kinds of work that many people on their off time don't take the time to do. We also see them, of course, doing the hard work when they're on the clock, running into fires or running into accidents or, running into a situation where everybody's running away from, and they're to be commended for that. But that's what they do for a living. But then it's good to know that they also do this other stuff, right? Yes. The stuff that really tugs at the heart. So congratulations to you, the organization, and to everybody that's working out there in our streets to make San Antonio the #1 city to live in. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all. And thank you for tuning in. I'd like to once again thank my guests for taking the time to provide us with such great information about the proposed recreational center and library in the district and the Blue Santa program. I look forward to our upcoming shows. And until next time, I'm your City Councilman Ray Lopez, and thank you, San Antonio.